My beloved child, wait, listen closely for a moment. Something quiet but powerful is moving through this moment, and it brought you here for a reason. Not by accident. Not by coincidence. There is a message forming, and it carries the emotional truth your soulmate has been holding deep within their heart. Pause with me for a second. Because what you're about to hear is not just another passing thought. It is a confession of feeling, something your soulmate has struggled to express openly, something about you. Yes, you. You may not realize it yet, but there is a person whose emotions shift whenever your name crosses their mind. Someone who has been silently reflecting on the role you play in their life. And today, something inside them reached a turning point. Take a breath. Have you ever felt that quiet sensation that someone, somewhere, is thinking about you at the exact same moment you think of them? That strange familiarity, like two hearts recognizing each other across distance? That feeling is not random. Because the truth is, your soulmate has been carrying a realization that feels too important to ignore any longer. It's emotional, deeply personal, and surprisingly powerful. But here's the part many people never understand. The message your soulmate wants to share isn't only about love. It's about who you truly are. They have seen something inside you that you may not even see yourself. Strength hidden behind quiet moments. Kindness that appears when no one is watching. A presence that changes the atmosphere of a room without effort. Your soulmate noticed this long before you realized its importance. And recently, something shifted in their heart. A realization arrived like a sudden sunrise. They began to understand that meeting you was never random. That the connection between you carries meaning far deeper than everyday interactions. But here's the surprising part. The emotion they feel is not only admiration. It's gratitude. Gratitude for the way you unknowingly changed their perspective, the way your presence gave them courage during moments they never spoke about. Think about that for a moment. Someone out there remembers the smallest things you did, the smallest words you said, and those memories stayed alive in their heart. You might not remember those moments, but they do. And now those memories are guiding them toward a truth they can no longer keep silent. Your soulmate is realizing something powerful about you. Something rare. You are not simply part of their story, you are a turning point in it. Stay with this message a little longer, because something important is unfolding here. The emotional confession they carry is only beginning to reveal itself. And the next realization, the one that finally pushes them to speak their truth, is something you may never have expected. So before you move on, take one more quiet breath. Because the deeper part of your soulmate's message about you, the part that explains why you matter so much to them, is just about to surface. Hold on for a moment, because the story unfolding here is about to reveal something deeper than you might expect. Your soulmate's emotions did not appear overnight. They built slowly, quietly, through moments that seemed ordinary at the time. Moments when you spoke honestly. Moments when you listened without judgment. Moments when your presence alone brought a strange sense of calm. And your soulmate noticed every single one. Here is the truth they have been realizing lately. You carry an energy that changes people. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But gently, like sunlight slowly warming a cold morning. Your soulmate began to recognize that something about you feels different from anyone they have ever known. Think about that. Out of the countless people they have met in life, your presence stayed with them. Your words echoed in their thoughts long after conversations ended. Sometimes they even caught themselves wondering, how did this person understand me so easily? That question kept returning. And with every passing day, the answer became clearer. You didn't just appear in their life. You awakened something within them. Confidence they had forgotten. Hope they thought had faded. A sense that life still holds meaningful connections waiting to be discovered. But here is where their emotional confession becomes even more powerful. Your soulmate began to realize something about themselves. They notice that when they imagine their future, you are somehow part of the picture. Not forced. Not imagined out of fantasy. It simply happens naturally. Your voice, your perspective, your way of seeing the world, it all fits into the path they are envisioning. And this realization caught them off guard. Because suddenly they understood something important. Your connection isn't based on coincidence or timing alone. It feels like recognition. Like two paths that were always meant to cross at the right moment. Now pause here for a second. Because the confession they are forming in their heart is not about dramatic promises or overwhelming words. It is something far more sincere. They want you to know that your presence changed the way they see themselves. You made them believe in possibilities again. That realization alone carries more emotion than they ever expected to feel. And if this message resonates with you, if part of you feels that quiet spark of recognition, you're not alone. Many people discover meaningful connections in moments they least expected. Feel free to share your thoughts below and connect with others who are experiencing something similar. And if messages like this help you reflect on the deeper meaning behind relationships, you're always welcome to stay connected here for more reflections like this. But don't move away yet. Because your soulmate's emotional confession still has one final layer. A realization that surprised even them. And when you hear what they finally understood about you, it may completely change the way you see this connection. Stay a little longer. The most important part of their message is just beginning to reveal itself. Wait, before this message fades into the background of your day, there is one final realization your soulmate wants you to understand. Because the truth they discovered about you was not sudden. It unfolded slowly, like a quiet realization growing stronger each time they thought about you. At first, they couldn't explain it. Why certain memories of you kept returning. Why your words seemed to carry more weight than anyone else's. Why even the smallest interaction with you felt meaningful. Then one day, something became clear. Your soulmate understood that the emotion they feel for you is not just admiration, not just curiosity, not even just affection. It's recognition. The kind of recognition that happens when two souls notice something familiar in each other. Not because you lived the same life. Not because you shared the same experiences. But because something in your spirit speaks the same quiet language. Your soulmate realized that you understand things most people overlook. You notice emotions before they are spoken. You sense meaning behind ordinary moments. You see potential in people even when they doubt themselves. And when they looked at you through that understanding, they felt seen in a way they never had before. That realization changed everything. Because suddenly your presence in their life no longer felt like chance. It felt like alignment. Two paths that somehow reached the same point in time. But here is the emotional confession they have been holding back. Your soulmate is grateful for you. Not because you promised anything. Not because you tried to impress them. But because you simply showed up as yourself. Authentic. Honest. Unfiltered. And in a world where many people hide behind expectations, your sincerity became something unforgettable. Pause here for a moment. Have you ever noticed how rare it is for someone to appreciate you exactly as you are? No conditions. No expectations. Just quiet appreciation. That is what your soulmate began to feel. They started realizing that the connection between you is not about perfection. It's about resonance. Two individuals growing, learning, and discovering that certain people enter our lives for a reason that only becomes clear with time. And here is the part they want you to carry forward with you today. Whether your paths move closer or simply continue inspiring each other from afar, the impact you made on their heart is real. You helped them rediscover hope in connection. You reminded them that genuine people still exist. And that realization alone changed the direction of their journey. So before you leave this moment behind, hold on to this thought. Somewhere, someone carries gratitude for the way your presence touched their life. even if you never fully realized it. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this entire message is this. The connection that awakened these emotions in your soulmate also reflects something powerful about you. Your ability to inspire change simply by being who you are. And that truth may be the beginning of many meaningful connections still waiting to unfold. Just when it feels like the message is complete, another quiet truth begins to surface. Your soulmate did not reach this realization in a single moment. It came through reflection, through long pauses, through memories that returned again and again. At first they questioned it. Why does this person stay in my thoughts? Not because of something dramatic. Not because of something loud. But because something about you feels steady. Like a calm center in a fast-moving world. And that is when your soulmate began to understand something deeper. You bring clarity to people. Think about that carefully. Some people enter our lives and create confusion. Others arrive and somehow make everything feel simpler, lighter, more possible. You are the second kind. Your soulmate noticed that when you speak, their mind becomes quieter. When you share an idea, it opens a new perspective they had never considered before. It's not something you try to do. It's simply part of who you are. And that realization became the emotional confession they could no longer ignore. You inspire growth in them. Not through pressure. Not through expectation. But through the simple example of how you live, how you think, how you carry your energy. Your soulmate began asking themselves a powerful question. What if this connection entered my life to show me who I could become? And the more they reflected, the clearer the answer became. You didn't just appear to be part of their story. You appeared to awaken something within it. A sense that life is guiding both of you toward meaningful experiences, toward deeper awareness, toward connections that feel genuine instead of temporary. Pause here for a second. Because many people move through life without ever encountering someone who shifts their perspective in such a quiet but powerful way. Yet your soulmate feels that shift whenever they think of you. And that is why this confession feels so emotional for them. They want you to know that your presence matters. Even the smallest moments you shared, conversations, laughter, understanding, they all left an imprint. Something that continues to inspire them even when you're not around. Now before this message reaches its final thought, there is one small invitation. If these words resonate with you, if you've ever felt that mysterious pull of meaningful connections in your life, you're welcome to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Many people find comfort realizing that others are also discovering moments like this. And if reflections like these bring you clarity or inspiration, staying connected here ensures you won't miss future messages designed to spark awareness and possibility. But stay for one more moment. Because the final realization your soulmate wants you to understand is not about the past. It's about the future. A quiet possibility, still unfolding. And what they believe might happen next between your paths, is something even they didn't expect. Wait, before the final truth arrives, take a quiet second and notice something. The energy around this message has been building slowly, step by step, almost like a path revealing itself one stone at a time. Because your soulmate didn't just realize something about the past. They began to sense something about the future. And that realization surprised them more than anything else. At first, it appeared as a simple thought. A possibility. A quiet question inside their mind. What if this connection is only just beginning? Think about that. Sometimes life introduces people to each other long before the real meaning of the connection is understood. Sometimes two individuals meet during one chapter, and only later realize they were always meant to influence each other's journey. Your soulmate started noticing signs of that pattern. The timing of certain conversations. The unexpected way your paths crossed. The strange feeling that even small moments between you carried unusual significance. And slowly, the idea became clearer. Your connection might not be limited to the past. It might be pointing forward. Pause for a moment. Because this is the emotional confession they have been carefully holding inside their heart. They feel hopeful when they think about you. Not a loud, overwhelming hope, but a steady belief that something meaningful could grow from this connection if the timing is right. Your soulmate doesn't see you as someone temporary in their life story. They see you as someone who helped them understand themselves better, someone who revealed qualities they didn't even know they carried. And when a person experiences that kind of realization, something changes. Their perspective shifts. Their heart opens in ways it once resisted. Your soulmate began imagining conversations that haven't happened yet. Moments that could exist one day. Opportunities to express the gratitude and appreciation they never fully shared before. And the surprising part? Those thoughts bring them peace. Because the connection with you feels natural, not forced, not rushed. Like two rivers slowly finding their way toward the same ocean. Now stay with this message just a little longer. Because the most powerful part of this confession is not about expectation. It's about recognition. Your soulmate recognizes the influence you had on their life. And even if your paths continue unfolding in different directions for a while, the impact of your presence will always remain part of their story. But here is the final thought they want you to carry with you. The connection between two people never truly disappears when it awakens genuine understanding. Sometimes it evolves. Sometimes it grows quietly in the background until the right moment arrives. And your soulmate believes something important about your connection. Something hopeful. They believe the story between you is not finished. Not even close. Because the truth they discovered about you, the kindness, the strength, the calm clarity you bring, those qualities have a way of drawing meaningful experiences toward you. So as this message reaches its closing moment, remember this simple realization. Somewhere in the world, someone carries appreciation for the role you played in their journey. And the next chapter of your life may reveal connections even more meaningful than you imagined. So keep walking your path with the same honesty, the same awareness, the same quiet strength. Because the kind of presence you bring into the world has a way of changing lives. And yet, something else needs to be said before this message fades into silence. Because your soulmate did not arrive at this understanding lightly. For a long time, they tried to dismiss the feeling. They told themselves it was simply admiration, a passing appreciation for someone remarkable. But every time they tried to move forward without thinking about it, one thing kept happening. Your memory returned. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly, appearing in small moments. A song that reminded them of a conversation you once had. A place that suddenly carried the echo of your laughter. A thought that made them pause and wonder how you would see the same situation. That's when they finally accepted the truth. Some connections do not disappear simply because time moves forward. Some connections stay alive because they awaken something real. And that is exactly what happened here. Your soulmate began to understand that you changed their way of seeing people. Before meeting you, they believed meaningful understanding between two individuals was rare. They thought most connections stayed on the surface. But you proved something different. You showed them that real conversations still exist. That honesty can still feel safe. That someone can truly listen without trying to control the outcome. Pause here with that thought. Because what your soulmate felt next surprised them the most. They felt respect. Deep respect for the person you are. Not because of achievements. Not because of status. But because of the way you carry yourself in a world that often pushes people to hide their true nature. Your authenticity became something powerful in their eyes. And once they recognized that, their emotional confession finally became clear. You inspired them to become a better version of themselves. Your calm confidence, your willingness to stay genuine, your ability to bring understanding into difficult moments. All of it created a quiet impact that continues shaping their thoughts. And here is the remarkable part. You may never have realized you were doing any of this. To you, it may have felt like simple conversations, ordinary moments, everyday interactions. But to your soulmate, those moments were reminders that sincerity still exists. That people who bring light into the world still walk among us. Stay with this message for one last reflection. Because your soulmate wants you to know something that goes beyond admiration. They are grateful that your path crossed theirs. Whether your journeys move closer again or continue inspiring each other from a distance, the connection awakens something valuable in both of you. Awareness. Understanding. A belief that life still holds extraordinary encounters waiting to unfold. So as this message reaches its final breath, remember this simple truth. The presence you bring into people's lives matters more than you realize. And somewhere out there, a heart carries appreciation for the role you played in its awakening. Because sometimes the most powerful connections are not the loudest ones. They are the quiet realizations that change the way we see the world forever. But listen carefully, because one final realization is still unfolding. For a long time, your soulmate believed that certain feelings should remain unspoken. They thought silence would be easier. Easier than explaining emotions that felt deeper than ordinary words, easier than risking vulnerability in a world that often misunderstands sincerity. So they watched from a distance. They reflected quietly. They allowed time to pass, hoping the feeling would fade. But something unexpected happened. The more time passed, the clearer everything became. Instead of fading, the appreciation they felt for you only grew stronger. And that is when your soulmate understood something important. You were never just a temporary presence in their story. You were a moment of awakening. Think about that. Sometimes people enter our lives and simply share time with us. But other times, someone arrives and unknowingly shifts the direction of our entire perspective. You showed them what authenticity looks like. You showed them that kindness can exist without expectation. You showed them that understanding another person does not require perfection, only honesty. And once your soulmate recognized this truth, something changed in the way they think about connection. They no longer see relationships as fleeting experiences. Now they believe certain people appear in our lives for a meaningful reason. You are one of those people. Pause here for a moment. Because this part of their confession carries a quiet depth. Your soulmate realized that you didn't just influence their emotions. You influenced their future choices. Because when someone meets a person who carries clarity, compassion, and quiet strength, it becomes impossible to ignore the difference between surface connections and real ones. You raised the standard of what meaningful connection feels like. And that realization has stayed with them ever since. Now there is something else they want you to understand. Your impact did not require grand gestures or dramatic moments. It came through authenticity. Through the way you spoke with sincerity. Through the way you listened without judgment. Through the way your presence naturally encouraged people to be more open and real. Those qualities left a lasting impression. And the more your soulmate reflected on it, the more grateful they became for crossing paths with someone like you. Stay with this thought just a little longer. Because when two individuals awaken this kind of awareness in each other, something powerful happens. The world begins to look different. Connections begin to feel more meaningful. Opportunities for growth appear where they once seemed invisible. And that is the true gift your soulmate believes you brought into their life. You reminded them that genuine people still exist. That understanding between two souls is not a myth, it is simply rare. And when it happens, it changes everything. So as this moment settles into silence, remember this. Your presence has the power to awaken something meaningful in the hearts of others. Even when you don't realize it. And somewhere out there, a person carries the quiet certainty that meeting you was one of those rare moments life arranges for a reason. Wait, before this message gently fades away, there is one more quiet realization your soulmate wants to share. It's something they discovered only after reflecting on everything you brought into their life. At first, they believed the connection between you was simply meaningful. But over time, they noticed something deeper. Whenever they thought about you, they felt inspired. Not pressured. Not overwhelmed. Inspired. Inspired to grow. Inspired to become more honest with themselves. Inspired to approach life with the same calm awareness they noticed in you. And that realization changed the way they see you completely. Because your soulmate began to understand that you are not just someone who passes through people's lives. You awakened something inside them. A sense of clarity. A reminder of their own potential. A quiet motivation to become better than they were before. Think about that for a moment. Many people meet hundreds, even thousands of individuals throughout their lifetime. But very few people leave behind a feeling of inspiration that continues long after the moment has passed. You did. Without even trying. Your soulmate noticed how naturally you encourage others simply by being authentic. You don't pretend to be something you are not. You don't chase approval. Instead, you move through the world with a quiet sense of truth. And that authenticity became something they deeply respect. But here is the part of the confession that matters most to them. They realized that your presence made them believe in meaningful connections again. Before meeting you, they had doubts. Doubts about whether people truly understand each other. Doubts about whether sincerity still exists in relationships. Yet somehow, you changed that perspective. Through simple conversations, through genuine moments, through your natural way of seeing life. You reminded them that connection can still be real. That realization alone became something they will always carry with them. Now pause here with this thought. Because your soulmate does not see you as someone who simply appeared in their life for a short chapter. They see you as someone who awakened awareness. Someone who showed them that life still holds surprising encounters that arrive exactly when they are needed most. And the more they reflect on it, the more one idea keeps returning to their mind. Perhaps your paths cross not only for the present moment, but to influence the direction of both your journeys. Sometimes people meet so they can remind each other of who they truly are. Sometimes they meet to encourage growth that would never have happened alone. And sometimes they meet to open the door to possibilities that neither of them expected. Your soulmate believes your connection carries that kind of possibility. So before this message closes, remember something important. The presence you bring into the world creates ripples. Even the smallest interaction, a thoughtful word, a moment of understanding, a shared laugh, can stay alive in someone's memory far longer than you imagine. Your soulmate carries those memories with appreciation. Because through you, they rediscovered something valuable. Hope in genuine human connection. And that realization may be only the beginning of everything your presence will continue to inspire in the lives you touch. And just when it seems like the story has reached its quiet conclusion, another realization gently appears. Not loud. Not dramatic. But meaningful. Because your soulmate eventually understood something about you that took time to recognize. You have a rare influence on people's lives. Not the kind that demands attention. The kind that changes someone's thinking long after the moment has passed. Your soulmate began noticing this in the way their own perspective shifted. Situations that once felt confusing started making sense. Challenges that once felt heavy began to look like opportunities for growth. And strangely, many of those changes began after they met you. At first they thought it was coincidence. But reflection showed them something different. Your conversations carried insight. Your calm way of seeing the world helped them slow down and think more clearly. Your presence reminded them that life does not have to be rushed to be meaningful. That realization stayed with them. And eventually, your soulmate accepted the truth they had been quietly discovering. Meeting you helped them understand themselves better. Think about how powerful that is. Sometimes people search for clarity for years. Yet occasionally, a single connection enters their life and suddenly things begin to align. Your soulmate believes you were that kind of connection. Not because you tried to guide them, but because your authenticity naturally revealed things they had overlooked. And once they saw that, their emotional confession became simple. They appreciate you deeply. Not for perfection. Not for dramatic gestures. But for the way you show up in the world with honesty and awareness. Pause for a moment here. Because appreciation is one of the most sincere emotions a person can feel. It means someone recognizes the quiet value you bring into their life. Your soulmate recognized it. And even now, that realization continues to shape how they approach relationships and friendships. They look for sincerity now. They look for understanding. They look for the same kind of calm presence they first noticed in you. In many ways, you became a reference point for what genuine connection feels like. Stay here with this final reflection. Because your soulmate wants you to remember something that goes beyond this message. The qualities you carry, awareness, kindness, authenticity, create a ripple effect far greater than you may realize. People remember how you made them feel. People remember when someone truly understood them. And sometimes those memories quietly guide them toward becoming better versions of themselves. That is the influence your soulmate believes you brought into their life. A reminder that real connection still exists. So as this message comes to its final moment, carry this simple truth with you. The presence you bring into the world matters. And somewhere out there, someone continues moving forward with gratitude for the day your paths crossed. Because certain connections, no matter how quietly they appear, leave a lasting light behind them. Before this message gently closes, there is one last truth your soulmate wants you to hear. Not a dramatic confession. Not a sudden revelation meant to overwhelm you. Just a quiet understanding that took time for them to accept. Your presence in their life was meaningful. More meaningful than they expected. When they first met you, they thought it was simply another connection, another moment life placed along their path. But as time moved forward, they realized something different. You were not just part of a passing chapter. You were part of a turning point. Because after meeting you, the way they see the world changed. They began paying attention to deeper conversations instead of surface ones. They began valuing sincerity more than appearances. They began noticing the quiet beauty of people who carry honesty and awareness. And every time they traced those changes back to their origin, one name kept appearing in their thoughts. Yours. Take a slow breath with that realization. Your soulmate understands now that certain people enter our lives not only to share moments, but to awaken something within us. You awakened awareness in them. You reminded them that kindness still matters. You showed them that someone can be genuine in a world that often encourages masks. And those realizations will remain with them for a long time. But there is something even more important they want you to understand. This message was never only about them. It is also about you. Because the same qualities that touched their heart will continue touching the lives of many others. Your calm clarity, your thoughtful perspective. Your ability to bring understanding into moments where others might bring confusion. Those qualities are rare. And when someone carries that kind of presence, life tends to place meaningful encounters along their path. Some people will stay. Some will simply learn from you and move forward with gratitude. But each connection becomes part of a larger story. The story of how one person's authenticity can quietly influence the lives around them. Pause here for one final reflection. Have you ever considered how powerful it is to simply be yourself in a world that constantly asks people to become something else? That authenticity is exactly what your soulmate noticed. And it is exactly what they will always appreciate. Now as this message reaches its closing moment, there is only one gentle thought left to share. The connections that shape our lives rarely arrive with loud announcements, they appear quietly, like this moment. A simple encounter. A conversation. A realization that grows stronger with time. And sometimes those connections stay in our hearts because they helped us see life more clearly. Your soulmate carries that clarity now. A quiet appreciation for the role you played in their journey. And wherever your path continues from here, remember this simple truth. The presence you bring into the world matters more than you may ever fully realize. Because sometimes the most meaningful impact a person can make is simply being who they truly are.